Happy Friday. Hello, everybody. This is Jean here from Authentic Energy. Welcome to the live Friday date with me. Okay, so I am here every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So today I'm a little bit early to hang out with you guys live. Okay, so every Friday I'm here. So if you like the tips and the content that you see on this channel, make sure you have already subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm live here. So every Friday, if you want to hang out with me or ask me any questions, this is your chance. Okay, so today I want to talk about something that I have been thinking about for a very long time, and many of you have actually asked me, like, can you please like explain a bit more about why you don't recommend fasting? Right. So a lot of you who have been following me for some time, you probably know that I have been telling you guys this time and time again. I don't recommend fasting. If you're doing fasting because of religious reasons, spiritual reasons with supervision, great. I have all respect for you. But if you want to take on fasting as a way of like altering your body weight, your body shape, or as like a way to improve your health, I would actually highly recommend you guys to think twice and consult your physician or doctor, or be sure that you are doing this for the right reason. Okay, that's something that I want to say. And like another reason why I was very hesitant about making this episode was because I mean I know a lot of people who I highly respect, and they work in the health and fitness industry. They practice fasting or intermittent fasting and things like that, and I still have a lot of respect for them. But because of my personal coaching approach is different. My personal coaching approach is balanced. Okay, always taking balanced nutrition, balanced lifestyle approach, which is why fasting doesn't fit, with my coaching approach. All right, we got Alice here. Hello, Alice. Good to see you here. And I know that I'm a little bit earlier today, so maybe a lot of you guys will be watching this on replay. And yeah, just definitely let me know your thoughts and also your experiences if you have done something like fasting before. I would love to hear from you guys. Okay. So I don't recommend fasting for women, especially. And why I want to talk about that. There are actually three main reasons why I don't recommend, as a coach, as a wellness coach, I don't recommend it to my students, especially women, is due to three main reasons. And I'm going to go through them. And it's also everything I'm sharing in this video is based on my own personal experiences, the experiences that I have from coaching and also scientific studies, and also my certification studies with different organizations as well. Okay, just want to let you guys know where my information is based. And again, it is based on my personal experience again. Okay, so if you're someone who is still very keen to try some kind of fasting after the end of the video, no problems. But I just want you to do a safe, and also be sure that you're working with someone who can give you all the best support for fasting. Okay, so firstly, why I don't recommend fasting for women is the first reason is that fasting is not sustainable, and also it is not balanced. Okay, so whether if it's like intermittent fasting or water fast or dry fast, or I don't know, like some of the fasts that require you to like not eat for like 7 days, right? Or something like that. So, like I personally think that this is not sustainable, especially if you're looking for, a way to basically help you manage your weight, improve your nutrition, improve your lifestyle. Doing fasting is not sustainable because you're dealing with a period of time of not eating, right? So for example, like intermittent fasting, we're talking about the most popular method is that you eat only during 8 hours, right? You have 8 hours of the eating window, and then 16 hours the remaining of the day that you don't eat, right? So basically in that 8 hours you get to fit all the macronutrients and all the calories that your body needs in that 8 hours, right? And so this actually basically creates like a huge restriction on your lifestyle and a huge restriction on your food choices, or just the timing of when you can eat, right? So if you're practicing that for a little bit of time, you may find that okay, it's all right. But then when life really starts to kick in, you'll realize that it is not sustainable. Okay, it really gets in the way of your day-to-day life activities and a lot of things. And also at the same time, when you have to practice on such a restricted nature, it is actually throwing you off the balance. Okay, so that doesn't really kind of align with my philosophy here, which is basically feeding your body, fueling your body with meals and with the right nutrients, at certain time interval throughout the day, so that your blood sugar level is stable, and also you're constantly fueled, you have the energy, right? You can function properly, you can think properly. Okay. Now, some of you are probably going to ask me or say that you've heard a theory that, intermittent fasting is good for you. I mean, I have to say that intermittent fasting, for example, does have a lot of good health benefits for certain people. Okay, they work well for certain people, but the studies actually have shown that intermittent fasting doesn't seem to work for women. Okay, for most women. Okay, it didn't work for me. I tried it and I had a lot of issues. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, so this is something that I want everyone to remember, right? When you take on a new method, you really, really gotta be careful. And also, back to my first point of how it's not sustainable, is because when I have met a lot of people, when I ask them, do you know why you want to do fasting? And most of them give me the answer that, it seems like a really effective, quick way to drop weight. That's why I want to do it. And then it seems to work for a lot of people. So I want you to be really careful, because it doesn't work for a lot of people. And also, you also have to know your body really well before you decide that this is something you want to try, right? Because if you're not doing it well, and especially if your body already is going through something, doing intermittent fasting could actually increase it could increase other health risks as well, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Right. So, like, you really got to know your goal, right? And also why you want to take on this as a way to improve your health or improve your nutrition, or to, like, bring your weight to balance. You have to be absolutely aligned with this method, body, mind, and spirit. Like, I really mean that, right? I don't want everyone to think of it as like a quick fix, right? Because if you look at like fasting as a quick fix, basically you're just doing a crash diet, right? And your body will bounce back if you stop doing it. Just like what I was saying, that if you see it as a quick fix, it is not sustainable. All right. And of course, for a lot of my folks who are doing fasting every year, for example during Ramadan time, I totally respect that it is for religious purpose, and even for like spiritual purpose. I myself have done like a 1 day 24-hour dry fast and water fast before. So, but because I was doing it with the guidance of my spiritual master, so I knew that I was safe, but it was only for 1 day. So I knew that, okay, my purpose, my intention was absolutely aligned with the fact that I wanted to experience, a certain, spiritual awakening. And then so I was happy to do that. Okay, so I just want everyone to know that, firstly, you have to be absolutely aligned with the purpose and your intention of doing that fasting. But if your intention is to improve your health and also improve your weight and things like that, I would actually suggest you guys to actually firstly gear yourself up with more knowledge about about food, about nutrition, and things like, are there any nutrient dense food you can add to your day-to-day diet? Are there any things that you can eliminate or swap out? Right, gear yourself with some nutrition knowledges and some like good information before you jump into it. It's much better than just like jumping into it because it is a trend. Okay, so that's something I want to tell you guys first. Okay, now, secondly, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend any kind of fasting. It's because what you are actually doing fasting, whether if it's intermittent or any type, you are actually reducing your nutrient intake. Okay. Yes, you are actually naturally reducing your calorie intake, but you're also reducing your nutrient intake. And again, like I mentioned, our coaching philosophy here is to have a balanced approach. Okay. I want everyone to take balanced energy intake and balanced nutrition intake for your body. So this doesn't really align with it, right? Because when you're eating on a restricted fashion, you're actually reducing your nutrient intake because you only have such a short period of window to feed yourself, right? And so in that period of window, you gotta like really plan very carefully of like all the macros and all the things that your body needs, right? And I know that, if you listen to other gurus or other channels out there, they will teach you like what you can do to like, do that, maximize it. But what I have found based on my personal studies is that because I did it, I did intermittent fasting myself. I found that it was just so much food I had to eat in like, a short period of time. Right. Like I really felt like my body was not really getting that right kind of digestion, the right time to digest all the food I had to eat. And then I was very stressed about, okay, I got to think about after how many hours I got to fit my next meal because I don't get to eat after this time. Right. So I was actually very, very stressed out. And in the whole process of it, I knew that the food that I packed and also the food that my body could take within that period, that window of 8 hours, was actually not enough for me. Right. And of course, I was also missing my breakfast nutritions and a lot of things like that. Right. Okay, so this is just my personal experience, but also when I have students asking me, I'll just tell them that, there is a high chance that, while you're cutting out the calories because you're restricting your eating to a short window of time, but you're also cutting out the nutrients. Right. And here I want everyone to eat on the very nutrient dense basis, right? So that you're actually adding good nutritional food into your diet rather than just focusing on cutting out the calories. And trust me, a lot of times I met a lot of students who are doing this intermittent fasting. What they're doing is basically within that window of eating time, they just eat whatever, right? They're not paying attention to the nutrition, they're not paying attention to the macros and a lot of things. They're just eating whatever. So this is actually not so great, right? So when you do that, you actually, because for a lot of people, right, when you are only given this short window of time to feed yourself, it actually, in a way, suppresses you, right? And when you're being so suppressed, it actually encourages your body to want to encourages your body to crave more food. So that's what happened to me actually. Like I was secretly snacking. I'm like, oh, I really can't stand this. And for a very long period of time, I used to blame myself for like being not disciplined and like, why can't you do this? It's so easy, everyone else can do it. Why can't you like just restrict yourself to eating only within 8 hours and you're such a failure? Like trust me, I went through that whole period of like self-blaming and thinking that I'm a failure, I can't even follow this diet. Anyways, I don't want that to happen to a lot of you because especially for my beautiful women out there, we have so much stress to deal with already, right? We don't need to have another stress here. Okay, which brings me to the third point, the most important point. Why, especially for women, when you come to me, and I'll tell you what, there are so many like methods out there, and I can tell you that you can get results with my balanced approach. You don't really need to try like something that extreme like fasting. The third point I don't recommend it is because really doing fasting can actually increase and create potential health risks, especially for women. Okay. And yeah, so I always just say that when you fast, you eat a lot of the next meal, right? Because your body is really starved. Right, your body is really starved of all the nutrients and the fuel, so your body naturally will want to eat a lot, right? And sometimes, a lot of times, we just lose our mindfulness. We don't care what we eat, we just want to eat, right? Just stuff our face with food. So this one is very important. And from the bottom of my heart, out of all kindness and love for all my women out there, we are dealing with a lot of like health issues already, right? Think about this. there's so many women out there dealing with hormonal imbalance, hormone related like issues, thyroid issues, like autoimmune disease, and different types of like female, even fertility issues out there already. Right, we don't need to actually do more to add more issues to our body. Okay. Now, so something that I was going to mention before earlier was that a lot of you probably have heard from other sources that, like the good thing about doing intermittent fasting is that, based on the ancestral times, in the Stone Age times, our ancestors actually fasted, right? And it worked well for them. But the thing is, you have to look at the change of time. Back then, our ancestors actually fasted because there was really a real shortage of food. It was really due to a lack of food. So during certain seasons, they didn't have so much to eat. Hence, they naturally had to fast because they really didn't have anything to eat. But if you compare our lifestyle to our ancestors from like I don't know how many BC, right? They didn't have to deal with the same stresses that we have to deal with. Think about modern women, what we have to deal with, like what kind of stresses that we have to deal with. We have to deal with like stress from technology, stimulation from social media. We gotta juggle like work and family, business stress. We also have to deal with like hormonal issues and autoimmune issues, you name it, fertility issues, right? We're already dealing with so many stresses. So while we're, so stressed, it is actually not a good idea to actually add one more stressor, which is actually not letting our body eat. Okay, I am taking a bold stand on this, and it is okay if not everyone agrees or resonate with my philosophy here, but at least like I feel like this is my chance to make it very clear and just to voice up my opinion on the issue. I mean, on the phenomenon of fasting. Right. So, as I mentioned, I don't recommend fasting to women because really fasting can increase potential health risks. I'll tell you what sort of potential health risks that you could get from fasting. Firstly, reduced thyroid hormones. Okay, you could also skip your menstrual cycles, which we don't want to face because we don't want to have, because your healthy menstrual cycle that you get every month is actually a direct reflection of your fertility health. Right. So and also it is a direct sign of your, hormonal health, right? So if your menstrual cycle is already disrupted as a result of fasting, then it actually affects your fertility. So those who are trying to get pregnant right now, okay, stay away from fasting. All right, it is my sincere advice. Okay, what else? Fasting could also increase, unhealthy behavior with eating or disordered eating behavior, right? So, because it is such a restricted and extreme way of feeding your body, and just like I mentioned before, I was actually kind of getting very mentally affected, thinking that I was not, disciplined, and I will actually hide some of my snacking. So you can really imagine the type of like disordered eating behavior this could encourage. Okay. And what else? When you're in the fasting mode, it can actually also increase your stress hormones. Okay, and we don't want the stress hormones to increase, because when the stress hormone, which is cortisol, that increases in our body, this actually increases our chance of getting different types of disease. And also, your body would actually want to eat more when your stress hormone is high. Okay, and one more thing I have to mention when you're actually fasting is that you are so focused on controlling your hunger within your feeding window, so that any type of like cravings you have, or any type of hunger that you physically feel outside of that 8 hour window, is like something that you are training yourself to ignore, right? So because you're like, this is not my feeding time, I cannot eat, I'm so hungry, but I cannot eat. I can only eat, during that 8 hours I designate myself to do. And this actually could potentially create this sort of like we call the loss of hunger cues. Okay, so which means, I mean, the dangerous part of that is that when your body is actually hungry, you are actually confused. right? Like you're actually confused about, am I really hungry? Or, like, am I like just craving something? Like you cannot distinguish that if it's a real physical need, a physiological hunger, or is it like a mental desire? Right. And one of the things I mentioned, and one of the things I teach in my coaching is to help my students investigate and be very clear of, your own hunger cues, because that is very important, because you need to know when your body is asking for nourishment. Okay, versus when you just want to do a comfort eating, emotional eating, right? So this is something that's actually very easy to distinguish and actually very, very doable to overcome, right? So I have a set of system and a set of behavior sort of like system that I teach my students to overcome that. If you guys want to know more about it, make sure that you sign up for my newsletter, and like it's in the description, so you will actually learn more and hear more about it throughout the weeks, right? So this is something that I want everyone to be really, really mindful of. You got to know your hunger cue. Okay. And practicing, intermittent fasting can actually train you ignore that. Right. And lastly, I just want to mention that as women, okay, this is to my women out there. As women, we need to understand that our bodies are different. Okay. Our body, what do you call it? The homeostatic energy regulation mechanism. Okay, now you're like a bit lost. In short, okay, basically what I'm saying, that how our body internally regulate the chemicals, the hormone stability, how they work together is always working in a way to prevent us from being starved. Okay, it's always working to prevent us from any perceived starvation. That is how women's body work, right? And when we actually introduce something like intermittent fasting, this may actually disrupt our hormone production. Okay, the pattern and the hormone production. So when the hormone production is disrupted, this will actually decrease our metabolic rate. Okay. And also, it could also interfere with the recovery, our body's recovery from like training or some kind of stress. And, it will actually create more urges to eat more. Okay. So this is something that I want everyone to remember. Okay. This is one of the main reasons why I'm just so passionate about like advising my students. When you come to me, if you want to learn from me, that I don't coach fasting, and I don't recommend fasting. Okay. So this is one of the things I have to make it very clear. And also for my beautiful ladies out there, if you're already having thyroid issues, if you're already experiencing some kind of like thyroid issues, then I actually don't recommend you to practice fasting or intermittent fasting, because when you're fasting, it can actually affect your thyroid hormones. It can actually decrease your thyroid hormones. And we all know that when your thyroid is affected, it affects your metabolism as well and creates other issues for your body. Okay, so this is something I have to really, really address out there. And yeah, I hope this is actually helpful for my beautiful lady audience out there. And if you're not lady and watching today's episode, this will also be a very useful, I hope this is also a useful information for you. So once again, I just want to emphasize that my personal coaching style is to create a balanced relationship with your energy intake and output, right? And building and mastering, healthy lifestyle foundations and healthy eating foundations is actually the key to a long-term sustainable result of feeling good in your body and feeling awesome and feeling powerful as a woman, physically and mentally, right? So I don't want anyone to treat food like an enemy. I don't want anyone to create that kind of restricted enjoyment kind of like relationship with the food, or you see food as a prescribed drug. Okay, food is simply a part of your healthy, happy lifestyle. Okay, right. So let me know if what do you guys think of today's episode, and if this is helpful, I am very grateful. And if you're new here to the channel, make sure you subscribe to it. And I'm here live every Friday at right now 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But today I had to come here early and I gotta go now. So let me know if any of you have any question. And thank you so much, Alice, for tuning in live. And you get to see this and we get to hang out live. So if anyone still has any questions regarding like fasting or healthy lifestyle, body confidence lifestyle, do let me know here. All right. And if you do want to hang out with me outside of YouTube, I actually have a women only private Facebook group, and I do coaching in there, and it's free. So you're more than welcome to join that group, and you can find that link in the description. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Take care and enjoy your weekend. Bye.